So, guys, WrestleMania 37 is for the books now. It is done. Still recovering from night two last night. Oh my God, it was an awesome, awesome WrestleMania. Lots of storylines that unfolded last night. One thing that really, really I wanted to talk about was the Fiend and Randy Orton match. Right from the scratch, the beginning, the introduction of the Fiend, coming back after that Raw appearance where he looked all burnt and um, coming back and recovering in a way. That whole entrance was amazing, quite out of the box. The creative team really pulled it off. The Jack in the Box concept, Alexa Bliss doing her part, it was awesome. The match itself. I think it was very underwhelming from what I was expecting. I had really high expectation from that match, so I was kind of left disappointed, like many people who were in attendance. WrestleMania. I think it was going to be a huge storyline for the Fiend to come back after losing that match, where it was burned by Randy Orton. Unfortunately, it didn't really go that way. I think the ending, like Alexa Bliss, like with all that black paint coming out. Was a really good way to leave it, but I think the match itself, didn't really have to go in the way where Randy Orton had to win. They could have really, just went on and had the Fiend won, and maybe then created some kind of twist where Alexa Bliss does something, and that the whole sequence happens afterwards after the Fiend wins. I think the Fiend really needed this victory, which makes doesn't even like make sense. Finn at this point really should have been a character that should be like invincible, like undefeated, and the monster he is, he really should have been that character. Unfortunately, it hasn't really been that way. And it's very disappointing. But nonetheless, like I was very excited to see, and I'm very excited to see what's going to happen next. They left it at a very good kind of a cliffhanger, at least. um, I am, really stoked to see what next is going to happen. And my thinking, as now I'm looking back at it, the black paint that's coming out of Alexa Bliss, and then the symbolism that the way she's sitting down on top of that box, kind of really resembles what Aleister Black really does, and that black paint maybe is the black mass. Hey, who knows? If WWE really goes into that direction and brings Aleister Black into the storyline, I think we really have got something in our hands. Next thing that I wanted to really talk about from night two was that main event match. Oh my God, Roman Reigns, with Jay Uso, Paul Heyman, and then Edge and Daniel Bryan off, of course. That match from scratch to finish was hell of a match. From all the moves, the storyline, the build up, the whole atmosphere in that match was amazing. Everything from that match, there was moments, there was emotions. Edge spearing Roman Reigns out of nowhere, after Roman Reigns hits a power slam on the table to Daniel Bryan. That was awesome. And it looked like it could have been anyone's match. Daniel Bryan looked really strong, Edge looked really strong, and Roman Reigns obviously looked really strong. And these three men really pulled off that main event like no one else has. That WrestleMania 37 main event really would go down in the history books as one of the best main event. I think the match itself was awesome. Like there's really nothing to criticize on. The only thing I felt like maybe something else could have been done was the very finish. It kind of felt underwhelming for that caliber of a match that they pulled throughout. Um, I mean, Reigns going over it makes sense to me. I know it's not the most popular opinion out there. I think Reigns, being the guy he is, the top head of the table, the top of the mountain, and him as a heel, like really, this victory establishes his position in the company, and in the roster. He is the head, and he's like unbeatable, and creates a really interesting scenario. Like who is going to come and challenge Roman Reigns? It's such an interesting scenario, like really. But I wish like the finish was like something more had been done creatively to maybe like just give something more to the crowd for that caliber of a match. But nonetheless, I would have been really happy had Edge won. Especially him coming back. after a decade in WrestleMania, like main eventing, storyline wise would have been awesome. But again, Edge winning, I think would have, we would have gone into a totally different direction. And what was going to be next for Edge after he becomes the champion? Probably not much of a storyline to say there. So I think like Roman Reigns winning makes sense. Him going over definitely makes sense, and I'm interested to see what next. Who's going to be the next challenger for his Universal Championship title? And I think that's really exciting. The WrestleMania Night 2, Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. Big fan of both of them. They both delivered. I wish Asuka had won, but Rhea Ripley is a nightmare. Truly, she's a nightmare, and she is the superstar, not just of the future. She is here now, and I think she has the caliber to be the biggest woman superstar in history books. Same like Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair. Um, I was expecting maybe there would have been an appearance from Becky or Ronda Rousey, but I think they have got something in store for us for tonight. Raw after Mania is in the books tonight, and maybe there will be something even more exciting. Looking forward to it. Another exciting element of night two was Kevin Owens stunning Logan Paul. Like that was awesome. Logan Paul, he is a heel. Crowd were booing him from the beginning, and deservedly so. And him stunning him was a really nice finish to that match. Um, Another match, Biggie, Apollo Cruz, everything, like storyline wise, Apollo going over with an introduction of, I forgot the guy's name from Raw Underground, but him coming back, and even I think they are trying to like reboot him. They didn't even say his name, so I think he will not be that character from Raw Underground. Again, I forgot his name, but yeah, like that was awesome. But yeah, like I'm excited to see what else is going to happen. WrestleMania Night 2 was really great. Although, like, I wasn't too happy with the Fiend decision to have Fiend lose against Randy Orton. But other than that, Night 2 gets a big thumbs up. WrestleMania 37 gets a big thumbs up.